All right, everybody, so welcome back to another episode of Colton Posey Fishing. So today we're going to be talking about top 3 baits for September. These are my finesse baits that I typically like to run when I have to finesse fish. When I have to finesse fish, I particularly don't like finessing fish. But either way, you know, if the video helps you at all, make sure to like, subscribe. I mean, I've got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing, but stay tuned to something you don't want to miss. All right, guys, so the first bait we're going to be talking about, this is one that I picked up at a local tackle store. This is called this is a Berkley power bait, and this is called the Power Switch. This is the HD Purple Wizard. This bait right here, it's like a 2.75 inch profile, I think. No, 2.5 inch, so 2.5 inch profile. It's perfect for mimicking those really small threadfin shad. So, you know, if you've got a fishery that's got a bunch of little threadfin shad in it, and you're having a hard time mimicking those shad, like one of the local lakes that I fish all the time, this bait right here comes in great handy. It's great for forward-facing sonar. I use it a lot on 2D sonar, but I mean, it's like a quarter, yeah, it's a 1/4 ounce. So I mean, you don't really have any trouble throwing it out there. I highly suggest getting this if you're fishing like a threadfin shad fishery. Now, I'm setting it up on my spinning reel. Obviously, I've got 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I've got 10-pound braided line. Now I'm running pretty much the same setup that I run for my swim baits and stuff, 7-foot medium moderate action rod, and then you know, speed spool, a high gear ratio spinning reel. That way I can take up a lot of line really quick. But you basically toss this bait out there. If you're using forward facing sonar, you can see it go down. You can sit there and shake it. You can kind of burn it a little bit, pop it, twitch it, whatever you know, kind of presentation the fish want. There's multiple ways to fish it, but I highly suggest shaking it. Seems to work the best. A lot of times I will actually just tap my rod like this when it's in the water, and it'll make that bait kind of, you know, move like that. But it's a great little technique to find and catch those fish that are chasing threadfin shad that really don't want to eat anything else. So give that bait a shot. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, this bait, we're going to talk about it again, simply because I mean, they're still whacking it. I mean, you can catch big fish, you can catch small fish, you can catch bass, you can catch crappie, you can catch pretty much whatever you want to off of it. But it's the Zoom Tiny Fluke. Okay, this watermelon sea color, I suggest stay into your natural colors right now, simply because most of the fish that you're going to be fishing for, everybody's fished with minnow style bait, so they're typically throwing the whites and, you know, the smoking shads, the electric shads, the glimmer blues, all that stuff. So you know, the watermelon seeds, the green pumpkins and stuff like that is something that I don't think they see a lot. But I'm rigging it up on a dart head. So this one right here, this is the 5/16 dart head. I suggest buying a 5/16 and a 1/4 ounce, because if they won't hit the 5/16, I've learned swapping to the heavier one with that faster fall rate a lot of times can trigger those fish to bite. But I'm working this 3 different ways also. I'm tight lining, which is just throwing it out there and then, you know, clicking the bell, getting my line tight and just letting it drift back to the boat. Sometimes they'll hammer it. Other times I'm kind of popping my rod while I'm slowly reeling it. It makes that bait hop and twitch off to the sides and stuff like that. But I'm also sometimes I will dead stick it, so I'll throw it out there, let it fall, and then I'll just sit there and shake that bait. But typically I don't want my rod tip at like 12 degrees. I want it at like that 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock range, and I'm kind of twitching it off to the side. And what that does, it gives that bait a wild roll, so it'll actually roll like this. And a lot of times that helps trigger bites also. But you kind of have to play around with presentations this time of year, especially because, you know, they're seeing the same baits year round, and making your bait work differently than other baits that are similar a lot of times can trigger a lot more bites. So, you know, just play around with it and stuff like that. Same 8-pound fluoro, 10-pound braided line. And then I'm running, this is the, you think I would know by now as many times I've told you about this rod, 6'10", extra light, yeah, light extra fast power mistake rod is what I'm running with this. This is going to be on all my dart head setups, my drop shot, stuff like that. I have 3 spinning rods, and these are the 3 that I always have. So you know, keep them set up real simple. But you know, this has got a lot of tip in it, so you can really load up, so you can actually keep your drag a little bit tighter and you get those better hook sets, especially with that small hook and stuff like that. The last one that I want to talk about is one that y'all seen in the video, or that y'all will see in the video. I actually caught a gar on this, and it was actually a lot of fun. But I've been catching fish off of this bait in a couple different ways, and that's one of the things that I really like about it. This is a Rapala Crush City Freeloader. So you know, the video that y'all saw up on Bear Creek with the chatter baits, that I was rigging my trailer up as this Freeloader by Rapala, and you know, another way that I really like to use this bait, especially to get those bigger bites, sometimes it's a little bit too big profile, other times it's kind of perfect, that in between. It's not necessarily too big, but it's not too small. I think this is going to play a huge key during this winter, but either way, I like rigging this up on that dart head, but I rig it up on the 1/4 ounce dart head, okay? And what I'm doing with this bait is I'm tight lining it, but I'm shaking the bait aggressively. And what it does is it makes that bait roll, okay? It's giving it that real wild roll action. And when they want it, they want it. When they don't want it, they don't want it. But you'll know pretty quick once you find some fish, either on your 2D sonar or your forward-facing sonar, you know, whether or not they really want that bait. But once again, 8-pound fluorocarbon, 10-pound braided line. And then this is the Lew's Laser SG1 rod I've had for years. 7-foot medium heavy action rod, medium heavy fast action rod. And then the same Lew's Speed Spool, you know, high gear ratio reel. And that's the thing, you know, maybe you're new to you know, running spinning rods or, you know, spinning equipment in general, and if you are, I highly suggest running a higher gear ratio spinning reel. Number one, you're always pretty much going to have your drag set low with spinning gear. I mean, you know, you're typically running 6 to 8 pound test. Some people go up to 10, some people go up to 12. I typically stick with 8 because that's that perfect balance, you know, for just about everything. But you know, it keeps baits, it gives the baits a real natural presentation, but also it's not so heavy that it, you know, kind of interferes with that real natural presentation that you're trying to present to the fish. So, you know, going with the higher gear ratio spinning reel, you'll be able to take up a lot more line real quick, because sometimes these fish, when you're shaking your baits, or, you know, maybe, you know, you got a little knot in your line or something like that and you're working on it, just anything, any kind of slack you get in your line, sometimes these fish just hammer it. And when they hammer it, they run with it, and a lot of times, you know, you're reeling down on them, and you figure out they're there, and you can drive that hook home by, you know, turning that reel handle really fast and then pulling at the same time. That's another thing I want to talk about spinning reels or spinning setups. Make sure when you're running a spinning setup, it's not a bait caster, okay? You're not trying to drag or, you know, just draw a daggum 4/0, you know, flipping hook. You know, these are typically small hooks that you have on these setups. So what you're going to do is, when you get that bite, what I like to do, I like pulling my rod at like a 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and then I'll reel down at the same time. Those fish will typically turn away. When they turn away, they're going to hook themselves, okay? So just be careful with the jerking, because if you start trying to jerk your baits too hard, especially with those small hooks, you're just going to jerk the bait right out of their mouth. But, you know, guys, if the video helps you at all, make sure to like, subscribe. It helps me out a whole lot. Also, comment down below if you have any questions, or if you just want to talk fishing. I love talking fishing with you guys. Also, if you want to get some new merchandise, you know, check out my Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. You get hats, you get t-shirts, all that good stuff. 25 bucks a piece. You know, super cheap, shipped to your door. Also, I'm working with Thunderhawk Lures, so, you know, if you're interested in getting some cool products by Thunderhawk, they make all different kinds of stuff, from square bills to lipless crankbaits, rods, nets, anything you can imagine. Go check out their website, and at checkout use code CPOSY20 for 20% off. They want to give you 20% off for using my code, and it helps me out a whole lot, and it helps those guys out a whole lot, and I appreciate it, guys, and I'll see you next time.